So during that afternoon, they had dropped me off my lookout position and been spinning weather, watching what the fire was doing. No major activity. The fire was moving away from us. And around, I think it was 2:50, 2:45, 2:50, there was over the radio announcement that there's going to be, the weather was going to be talked about. So we were going to get information on what was going on. And I spin the weather on the hour, so usually 10 minutes before I start taking my weather for my observations. And my captain had let me know that he was going to listen to that so I can continue to spin my weather and we can compare what's going on. And I was spinning my weather and my captain had reached me on the radio saying that we're going to expect 180-degree wind shift and that we could expect gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. And once I heard that, I knew the fire was going to change rapidly, and he understood that too. And at that point, I was closer to the fire than the crew was, the actual active fire. At that point, I continued to spin my weather, and my captain was heads up for what was going on. I could see what was going on and could see me. And as I look back to see how they're doing, I turn around and I could already see that the wind had shifted. And it had met my trigger point to reevaluate where I was. And I needed to find a different position. So I relayed to my captain and my soup that I needed to find a different position to be a lookout at, and they told me that they could see what was coming. They could see the fire's edge, and they were aware of what was happening with the fire and where I was at and how close I was. So I had started making my way back into this road that the other Hotshot crew have dropped me off on an ATV. And as soon as I arrive at this road, I turn around and I look back at the fire and I can just see just the smoke building. And it's starting to gain a lot of potential to move towards us. I relayed this information back to my captain, and he told me, no, I can see what's going on, Brennan. Just make sure you're safe, make sure everything's good for you. And I'm starting to walk down this road, and I'm switching over my radio to call the other Hotshot crew if I can get a ride. And as soon as I'm in the process of trying to talk to them, they're already right there around the corner, ready to pick me up. So at that point, I'd loaded my stuff up, and as I'm loading my stuff up, I hand my radio to the soup off of the other Hotshot crew, and he's relaying information to my superintendent and captain about where our vehicles are parked, that they're going to move them for us, that they have me with them, and it's safer for me to go out with him back to the vehicles, back to the main road in Yarnell, than to try and meet up with them. And he relayed information on what the fire's doing and kind of what their goal was, and just giving them as much information as he could on what was going on. And at that point, I was already in the ATV and we're on our way, and I'm just on the radio. I tell my superintendent and captain that if they need anything, give me a call and that I'll see them soon. And we had arrived at the vehicles, and Blue Ridge Hotshot crew, they helped us bump those vehicles around to a different side of the fire in a safer area for them to be in. And at that point, I was pretty much with them. And I mean, in this job, you're supposed to always remain flexible, and when I had left, my position was compromised and my safety, and my crew understood, and they were comfortable with me leaving, knowing that they could see the fire. And I mean, as any crew member, they always wish they could be with their crew. Those are the guys you love and you want to work with. And when I was with Blue Ridge, I felt very comfortable. You know, it was almost like being, you know, it was at home. Good feeling. But our goal was to prep a dozer line, which means to get ready to burn it, possibly. So we're going to clear out a lot of the fuels that's on this line that a dozer has pushed, heavy equipment has pushed. And within minutes of getting there, the fire activity was just picking up and keep picking up from when I had left. And around that time, this had to have been around 4:15, 4:30ish, I'm guessing. My times on that day are really hazy. We ended up going, they kind of pulled the resources off in the divisions, and just because of what was going on and people on their own were doing it, just wasn't safe area. Because at that point when we had moved, we were even closer to the fire. And we pulled off, we parked at a cafe, and during the time, you know, told my superintendent and captain that we had the vehicles at a safe area, and once again, if they need anything, just give me a call and I'll see them soon. And that's the last time that I had talked to them. I had heard my superintendent relay to the IC about them having to deploy and to prepare a deployment site. And that was the last time that I heard my superintendent's voice. And what went through my mind when I heard that they had to deploy, I was crushed mentally and emotionally. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to do everything I could to help them, but I mean, everyone on that fire wanted to do everything they could, and they did. It was just a horrible freak accident. I mean, you expect things to happen, but you don't expect to be put in these situations. You know that you can die on this job, but you don't want it's in the back of your head. Because if you always think about it, it's going to weigh you down.